the dissertation. This evening, we're going to have 4 presentations, and this seminar is expected to last for an hour and a half. That means by 9:30, we'll be done. Our first presentation is on quality assurance and quality control measures and limitations by Professor Hajaratu Umar Suleiman. Second presenter is Professor Ezechi, who will be talking to us on basic statistics. The third presenter is Professor Abubakar Panti. He will talk to us on planned handling of results and charts. And the last presenter is Dr. Ogumbode. He will be speaking to us on ethical considerations and timelines in dissertation. Just a few rules. Each presentation will last for 15 minutes. Presenters will be notified when they are 10 minutes into the presentation that they have 5 minutes remaining. At the end of your time, you will be requested to stop. There will be question and answer session, which will last for about 20 minutes. And we expect that participants will drop their questions in the chat box so that the presenters can easily refer to those questions. We'll take final comments from the chairman, vote of thanks from the secretary, then we'll close. So on behalf of the faculty, I enjoin all participants to engage fully and benefit maximally from these presentations. Our first presenter is ready. She is Hajaratu Umar Suleiman, a professor of infertility and reproductive endocrinology with ABU Zaria. She's also a chief consultant with ABU Teaching Hospital. She's a fellow of both National and West African College of Surgeons, and she is a minimal access surgeon. She holds a diploma in minimal access surgery, and she is a fellow of World Association of Laparoscopic Surgeons. She is an ART specialist and founded the ART services in ABU Teaching Hospital. She has been an examiner of our faculty for over a decade, and she has more than 50 publications in peer-reviewed journals and books. Professor Hajaratu Suleiman will be talking to us on quality assurance and quality control measures and limitations in dissertation. Prof, you have the floor. I can see you've already shared your slides, so you can go ahead, please.
Okay, thank you very much for your kind introduction, Professor Bakro. I'll be talking about quality assurance and quality control measures and limitations. And the objectives are to understand what quality assurance is and quality control and their application in research, and to understand what limitations of a study is. This is going to be my outline. The terms quality control and quality assurance are actually used interchangeably, and they represent distinct concepts. Quality control ensures products meet standards through inspection, while quality assurance focuses on preventing defects, and together they actually give they drive quality excellence. Quality assurance is a proactive and systematic process that ensures products meet specific standards and requirements, that it prevents any defect. In research, quality assurance ensures that all research processes meet the minimum standard of any acceptable research. That is why we try to follow SOPs as much as possible. And these SOPs detail the exact materials, the way you're supposed to use it, the protocols of how things are being done. And any deviation actually triggers investigation to find out the root cause. And based on our own health, because we're in the health sector, our research must meet WHO standard. The goal of quality assurance is to maintain a desired level of quality and safety by regularly monitoring the process. So when you are looking at quality assurance measures, you talk about from the concept note to the end of your dissertation, the research and then the dissertation writing itself. In terms of your methodology, the piloting, the field work, the laboratory processes, everything that is involved is has to do with quality assurance. It is quality assurance is system focused and aims to catch any issues before they occur by monitoring and implementing the process. And you look out for consistency, the research compliance, and how the researcher and also the patients are faring throughout the process of the research. For quality control now, it is a reactive process that occurs during the proposal phase of the research. It detects mistakes, errors, and any missed requirements within the research. So quality control process includes the review of the proposal by supervisors to ensure that it meets the expectation required, like by the National College. What about the goal of quality control? It identifies and fixes any problems before they occur, as they occur. And the activities include inspection, testing and validating our questionnaires or proformas, data analysis to monitor and evaluate the standards and processes, making sure that they are within the limits that are expected. And then anything you detect is corrected in real time. And it also includes patient and client feedback. So when you're comparing quality assurance and quality control, the main difference is in the objectives. Quality assurance prevents quality failures, whereas quality control is about detecting and addressing mistakes and errors once they occur and solving them. So quality assurance and quality control are essential to the quality management process, but they serve different functions. So the key differences now, quality assurance is a more proactive approach, whereas the quality control process is more of a reactive approach, and it fixes issues, as we said, as you detect them. And then the quality assurance aims to prevent issues within the production or research process that we mentioned right from the beginning. You make sure you have your SOPs, your audit, your documentation, everything. While quality control aims to detect issues or defects after you have started the research process and solve them in real time. It includes product sampling and audits. And quality assurance covers virtually all the quality systems throughout the product development cycle, whereas quality control process only occurs at the testing, inspection, and validation part. So quality control can be considered a subset of quality assurance activities. So how do we look at quality assurance and quality control in longitudinal studies? Quality assurance consists of all those activities undertaken prior to your data collection to ensure that the data are of the highest possible quality by the time they are collected. It includes development of a study protocol, your questionnaire, your proforma, developing a data entry or data management system. Most of us use SPSS. Then, we usually ask about training of data collection assistants. That is also part of quality assurance. And then testing your data collection procedure. Sometimes some of us do pilot studies just to be sure that your questionnaire is actually going to give you your desired outcome. So once the data collection begins, quality control procedures are developed as part of the quality assurance process. And the goal of these quality control procedures is to identify and correct any sources of bias as the study goes on. This table actually is a summary of what quality assurance and quality control activities are during a longitudinal study. You can see by the time you're developing a protocol and recruitment, your design of your protocol development is a quality assurance activity, whereas checking for eligibility of your participants is a quality control activity. Then your design, your piloting, checking coding and all that of your questionnaire is part of quality assurance. And then looking at when the questionnaire has been employed, if there are any problems with how the completeness of the data, whether there's double entry, all those things are quality control measures. So in systematic reviews now, same thing. There is a small number of studies will actually, when you are doing quality control in systematic reviews and meta-analysis, the main thing is for us to have the combination of large numbers of studies, like more than 20, that permits more detailed analysis and more rigorous entry and quality control of the results obtained through sensitivity analysis and publication of bias assessment. What we're saying is that we need to know the kind of studies that you actually group together for you to do a meta-analysis. And that actually ensures that you are sticking to the standards and getting the required inference at the end of the day. There are so many reporting templates that are used, the PRISMA, and then the meta-analysis of observational studies in epidemiology. These are templates that are used to make sure that, one, the actual studies follow a standard a reporting framework. And then by the time you come to do your meta-analysis, whatever inference you are getting from them will actually now be valid. Limitation in research is an imposed restriction, which is out of the researcher's control and may affect the study design, the results, and ultimately the conclusion, and should therefore be acknowledged clearly at the beginning of the studies. It can include statistical model constraints, funding, and other factors, or even the design of your study. But these are things that you need to acknowledge right from the beginning. One of the very common limitations we have in research is where you are the geographical location of your research. If you're doing research in the northwestern part of the country, can you really generalize that this is the same thing that will happen in the south or southeastern part of the country? And again, in terms of sample size, your sample size, is it actually representative of the study population that you are actually where you got the sample from? So these are all limitations that we need to know about. And again, if you are trying to check for BMI, this tool you are using, is it actually going to give you the estimated body mass index? And one of the other things that we have to look at again is even the methodology has its limitations. It is both quantitative and qualitative research. And also the statistical analysis. Also, most of the models that are used, can you really talk about the correlation between the two variables being correct and not being causal? So these are all limitations that should be clearly stated so that results are not distorted or misinterpreted by the wider readership. As part of the FMCOG guidelines for writing dissertation and proposal dissertation, it is said there that we have strengths and limitation. And it is what is expected is that this should include there should be a discussion on the measures that will be instituted to mitigate any effect of anticipated limitations that you see, with appropriate referencing from the literature where it is applicable and what you have done on this limitation that will likely impact your results and how you intend to interpret these results and generalize your findings. And at the time of submission of your dissertation, we expect that you would report about the strengths and limitation of your study and in your completed research and the observed or measured impact of the strengths and limitation on the research process and your findings. Most of us, at least when we are doing the orals in the part 2 Viva, at the end of the candidate's defense, we usually ask them, what are the strengths of your study? What are the limitations? And what did you do to mitigate those limitations? And how will you now interpret your results in terms of the general population? So in conclusion, when quality assurance and quality control measures are instituted during research and limitations acknowledged, the outcome of studies will meet the minimum standards and it will be better appreciated and appraised. Thank you so much. These are my references. Thank you for listening.
Thank you so much, Prof. You actually presenting within 10 minutes. That means we even have 5 more minutes remaining. Let's appreciate her with a thunderous round of applause. Thank you so much. We'll invite you later to answer some of the questions that may be raised by the residents. Thank you once again, ma'am.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Our next presenter is actually Professor Oliver Ezechi. He has forwarded his presentation, recorded presentation to the secretary. Okay, can we have that presentation, sir? Professor Ezechi is actually the Director of Research at the Nigerian Institute of Medical Research, Lagos, and a Professor of Maternal, Reproductive, and Child Health at the Lead City University, Ibadan. He's also an adjunct professor of Obs and Gynae at the University of Calabar and Alex Ikweme Federal University, Abakaliki. Professor Ezechi is an accomplished scholar and an award winner. He won the Sogon Award of Excellence in Research in 2023. His distinguished career spanning about 25 years in active service and research. He has contributed over 225 publications to peer-reviewed journals and books. Prof, we can have your recorded presentation. The media team, please. Let's have the recorded presentation. You can start now. Media team, can you assist us with the volume? We can't hear anything. I actually can't hear him. Media team, can you pause and fix the voice issue? We can't hear him. On the other hand, we can step down his presentation for now. Then we take the other presentations. Before we get to him, maybe you'll be able to fix the voice issue.
Yeah, I think it's just chairman, moderator, please just let's go to the next lecture.
Yes,
while
sir.
they're trying to fix that.
Yes, thank you so much, sir. Our next presenter is Professor Abubakar Panti. Professor Panti, are you around? I'm trying to look for him. Is Professor Panti with us? Media team, can you unmute Professor Panti?
I'm afraid I can't see him.
Yeah, I checked through too.
Maybe let's go to the next presenter.
All right.
He was logged off, so it's network issues. Yeah.
It's all right. Professor Ogumbode, Dr. Ogumbode, are you around?
Yes, sir, I'm around, sir. Should I
good
start
man.
sharing my
Thank
screen?
you. Yes, please share your screen. Dr. Olayenka Ogumbode is a reader of Ops and Gynae with the University of Ibadan and an honorary consultant at the UCH. He's an examiner of the National Postgraduate Medical College of Nigeria and West African College of Surgeons, Faculty of Obstetrics and Gynecology. And he has served in so many committees in the faculty. His research interest is in fetal-maternal medicine and infertility. He has over 65 publications in peer-reviewed journals and books. He has more than 3,500 citations to his credit with H-index of 17. That's quite tall. Dr. Ogumbode will be speaking to us on ethical considerations and timelines in Fmcog dissertations. Dr. Ogumbode, you have the floor.
Good evening, my teachers, trainers, senior colleagues, and future colleagues. Tonight, I'll be talking, and I also thank the faculty for inviting me to talk on ethical considerations and timelines. These are the learning objectives for this session. We just talk briefly about some historical events that led to the development of codes of ethics. Then we talk about the basic principles which we expect prospective candidates to put in their proposal and dissertation. Then we'll talk about how to implement these principles and how to develop the timelines. I must say that there is no conflict of interest to declare for this presentation. This is the outline of my presentation. Talk about introduction, historical context. We talk about some core principles of ethics. Then we talk about how to obtain IRB or ethical committee approvals. Talk about the timelines. Give us a few examples of poor timelines, and I'll also conclude. First of all, we have learned for these past 2 weeks about what research is, and it is a systematic investigation, including research development, testing and evaluation designed to develop or test generalizable knowledge. And when we are doing research, our principal aim is that we want to contribute to the knowledge. Ethics itself can be defined as a set of principles or standards by which research conduct is regulated. Sorry about these slides. Now, when we talk about research ethics, there are the set of rules that inform research design, analysis, dissemination, and implementation. Many of these ethics came about because of the historical events that happened, that first came into limelight after the Second World War, when some Nazi doctors did some experiment on prisoners. And that one, together with the Tuskegee trial and also some other events, led to various organizations having their ethical guidelines. In the next slide, you will see some of these organizations. But notably, we also have a Nigerian organization, which is the Nigerian National Code for Health Research Ethics. Most of these principles that we expect candidates to talk about under their ethical considerations came from the Belmont report of 1979. First of all, we have to demonstrate that you have respect for person in your research study. And this means that the autonomy of the individual must be acknowledged, and this can only be done by using an informed consent. You must also make sure that the participants volunteer primarily, and it is not under coercion. Likewise, you must also make sure that your research or your study will protect those with limited autonomy. Maybe they have limited capacity to understand, or maybe some situational issues like prisoners, children, pregnant women, and neonates. Now, when we talk about informed consent is often misinterpreted. It is not just giving a form to the woman to sign or the participant to sign. We must understand that it is a process by which we educate and also decision making. And the information you have on your informed consent sheet must be accurate. It must be as detailed as possible. Later on in the slides, I will briefly mention some of these information. This informed consent can also be done on a group setting or one-on-one setting, but the one-on-one setting and the written is preferred. Because even if you do a group counseling, there must be a procedure or a process by which you downstep it to individuals and you take consent individually. Because we know that if you do a group counseling, ability to volunteer for the research may be impaired because of what others feel about it. Then you must also give potential participant time to decide. Sometimes it may take more than one encounter with the proposed research participant for you to obtain your consent. And it must also be reminded that the consent process continues until the end of the study. That means the participants can voluntarily withdraw from the study at any point in time. These are some of the elements of a good informed consent. I've talked about it addressing all parts of the research. It must be signed by the participants or an investigator. Then the patient must be given a copy of the consent form. And there must be information about who to contact for clarifications or for other things that may come up during the research. There must also be a statement regarding unforeseen risk, especially to the unborn child. There must be a statement about if there's any cost implication. For example, your treatment or your drug may cause certain complications or discomfort. There must be information about the steps that you're going to take. Then there must also be a statement regarding that there will be no punitive or withdrawal of services. For example, if they withdraw from the study. The other principle that we need to talk about is beneficence and non-maleficence. The beneficence means what's the benefit of the research, while non-maleficence means do no harm. That is, what are the risks of the research? Generally, a good study must have greater risk benefits. That means the benefit must far or must outweigh any risk of your research. If you are going to do a research, now the harm is going to be more than the benefit, then it's likely not going to be approved. by an ethical research committee. So our aim is to minimize any risk. Then you must also, as part of your informed consent, you must also be specific about the risk. Many times when we do the study, you say minimal harm. We must always remember that risk may not only be physical, it could also be psychological, social, and economic, and this must be mentioned. Compensation is not allowed in research, although you may pay for certain cost of the tests or for maybe transport logistics. That may be allowed, but it must be commensurate with the state of the environment of study. So it must not be constitute an inducement to the participants. Then you must make sure that all participants are treated equally and fairly and impartially. So now the other thing about your research is confidentiality. You must ensure that the information that you get from them is going to be used only for the purpose of the research. Personal data or identifiers such as names are not to be taken in an informed consent. There are ways that which you can prevent, you can improve confidentiality in your research. Coding can be done. You can give them serial number. Then you can limit the access to information by other people in the research team. In some research organizations, they even expect you to have a non-disclosure agreement with the participants. That means that you will not disclose any information. We'll also talk about protecting confidentiality, maybe in storage or when you are disseminating your research findings. And I must say that you can also encrypt or password protect important information or your data collection sheets. There are some other ethical considerations that you must make sure that you follow. In your data collection, you must make sure that you follow the approved protocol in completing either the souvenirs or the laboratory testing. You are not supposed to rephrase or shorten questions to save time so that the information will be as accurate as possible. Then you must be mindful that participants are allowed to skip some questions or other parts if you are doing a questionnaire-based study or a mixed
you have 5 more
study.
minutes.
Yes, I'll finish. Then we'll talk about your handling of your tissue specimen. These are other areas where you must follow ethical guidelines in your collection, storage, analysis, and discarding process and secondary use. They must be mentioned to the participants. These are examples of research conduct when you plagiarize, that is, you use people's work without making appropriate references for them, or maybe you fabricate. Sometimes you may do a laboratory assay, you just fabricate the results, or maybe you falsify your data. And these were recently discussed at by the National Postgraduate Medical College in December 2025. The next thing on the outline is getting RRB or ethical research approval. You must try and get it from the institutions or regions, which is around the area where the study may be done. These are the other things that you must do. If there's going to be any protocol deviation, you must get back to the IRB. You must report any unanticipated adverse reaction events that may occur during your research. And if the research is extending beyond 1 year, you must write to the IRB board. This is just the guideline of obtaining ethical approval by the Ethical Review Committee of the University of Ibadan and University College Hospital. Nowadays, things can be submitted online so that it will make sure that the reply or the response is gotten on time. Now about timelines. Timelines are actually visual map of your research, and it must reflect all stages and deadlines in the research. It helps you to track progress, and it also communicates your research to your supervisors or assessors. These are just examples of different timelines. Time will not permit me to talk much on these ones, but the type of timeline that is accepted is the Gantt charts. This Gantt chart, the advantage is that it gives you a logical events in terms of months and years that the research is being done. These are some examples of poor Gantt chart. You can see on the one on the right, it just listed the activity and put a date. On the one on the left, or on the right side, on the left side of the screen, it just put month 1, month 2, month 3. That is not a good Gantt chart. This is an example of a good Gantt chart. The activities are listed as much as possible. The timing is also appropriate. You can see that for ethical approval, it puts about 2 months for it. Proposal submission to the college, about 3 months, because sometimes you submit, you will get a first feedback assessment, and most of the time they will request you to rewrite or edit some parts of the book and resubmit. So 3 months maximum is appropriate for that time. We expect that you carry out your study for a period of 6 to 9 months to take your data collection. And we expect that within 1 year of your proposal being approved, that is the right time that you may be allowed to sit for the exam. And you can see that it has the year and the months.
You round up in the minutes,
right up. So these are, if you look at the ethical requirement from the West Africa College of Surgeons and National Postgraduate Medical College, these are some of these things that they expect you to cover. Thank you for listening. And we have come to the end of this presentation. I hope I've used less than my 15 minutes. Thank you.
You're right on time. Thank you so much, Dr. Ogumbode. In Dr. Ogumbode's words, ethics is about respecting the patient and conducting your research professionally. It's about autonomy, it's about beneficence, it's about non-malfeasance and justice. Thank you once again, Dr. Ogumbode. Let's give him a round of applause, please. Yes, thank you. Our next presenter, Dr. Abubakar Panti, is ready. Yes, I can see him. Yes, Professor Panti, can you please?
Yes, I'm ready.
Please go ahead and share your screen.
Yeah.
Professor Panti.
Can you see my slide?
Yes, 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 yeah. Yes. Professor Panti, let me introduce you.
Thank you, sir.
Professor of Obstetrics and Gynecology with interest in infertility and reproductive endocrinology with the Usmanu Danfodio University, Sokoto. He's a certified sonologist. He's also the former head of department and the current deputy chairman, Mark Research and Ethics of UDUD. He has been an examiner of the National Postgraduate Medical College Faculty of Obstetrics and Gynecology for more than a decade, and currently a faculty board representative. His most cited publication is the Profile of Infertility in a Teaching Hospital in Northwest Nigeria. He has over 25 years of active service and research with more than 100 publications in peer-reviewed journals and books. He has more than 877 citations to his credit with the H index of 18. Let's welcome Professor Abubakar A. Panti to make his presentation. Prof, you have the floor, please.
Thank you very much, Chair Professor Babagana. Please, I would like to tender my apology earlier. At about the same time, I just had a little light glitch, and I'm using a Starlink. It takes time to boot. So please, my apologies. In the next less than 15 minutes, quickly, we will be going through the presentation using this outline. Start with an introduction, what the planned software and tools, purpose of planning result handling proposals, linking research questions to plant analysis, plan qualitative, quantitative, and qualitative result handling, and use of tables, chart, and figures, presentation and guidelines, common mistakes, and conclusion. By way of introduction, I just want to start with this common example. I'd like to use this common example and a narrative in most of our proposal as an example. And this is just the common example that narrative that most candidates will now put as their planned result handling and charts. They'll just say the data will be analyzed, blah, blah, statistical package this, and the data will be presented in frequency tables, pie chart, histograms, and line graphs, and a chi-square analysis, odd ratio with 95% confidence interval will be used to compare proportions. Student t-test will be used to test for difference between continuous data, and of course, lastly, they will say probability p-values less than 0.05 will be accepted as statistical significance. This is what most of us are used to reading when it comes to planned result, planned data handling and charts. So this example clearly tells us how most of their candidates intend to handle his or her data, but of course did not link any of the intended method of data handling to the research question. It is therefore important for candidates to give some specific details in their proposals as to how they will handle their data in a way and manner that it will answer their research questions or outcome measures. We will detail this example as we proceed. We'll start with planned software tools. Of course, there are a lot of software tools out there, and most commonly, candidates must write the type of the software or tool they intend to use for their data analysis, including the version of the software, just like highlighted in the example previously. Additional tools that will be used for further analysis, like qualitative analysis tools, or like charts or graphs, which will help you in bringing out some of these graphs and charts. Sometimes you make use of tools, and anyway, most candidates just stopped at the software. They don't really tell us the additional software tools that they will use. So it's very important, if you are going to use additional softwares, you should let us know that you are going to use additional softwares in certain quarters. Next, what is the purpose of planning result handling in proposals? At proposal writing, candidate must demonstrate how he or she intends to use data to answer research questions. This clearly helps the supervisors or even assessors understand the analysis plan of this candidate. And it also helps prevent the candidate from confusing himself during data analysis, because he now has a prior plan of how he intends to handle his data. The next is linking research question to outcome. The candidate must clearly state the research questions, and properly he needs to plan how data, that is the anticipated data, can be used to answer his research questions. This must be demonstrated clearly in simple terms. The candidate should demonstrate and plan how primary and secondary outcome measures will be achieved from this anticipated data. If you look at the planned quantitative analysis, you know that analysis can be reported in several ways. There is no stereotype way of presenting a data analysis. However, candidate should plan whether he or she wants to use narration to demonstrate the result or use tables or charts. For descriptive statistics, for demographic and of course obstetric variables, tables are often used. Tables can also be used to compare analysis between exposure and treatment groups. So the candidate needs to show phantom tables when presenting proposals on how they are going to make use of these tables. And within such tables, inferential tests can also be made, like your t-test, analysis of variance, and also your chi-square analysis. In planned quantitative analysis, where applicable, or mixed analysis, where you mix both quantitative and qualitative, most of the proposals of the college are more of quantitative in nature. But where qualitative or mixed analysis is to be done, source should be clearly indicated. And this involves thematic development and coding some narratives. Since it's a qualitative analysis, sometimes you need to code, and sometimes the softwares that assist in such coding are like NVivo and Atlas.t. Some of them can help in such coding. These are just examples of dummy tables that we can use. Like this particular example now, this dummy table 1 shows how baseline social demographic and obstetric characteristics of participants will be presented. It involves essentially context for interpreting maternal and neonatal outcomes. So it's just tables, percentages, mean, frequency tables, but this is the usual type of table our candidates present. The social demographic table, which will show the subject and the control, and of course p-value, because especially when you are comparing two groups, you want to be sure that these two groups are comparable by subjecting them to a statistical analysis. So this is a good dummy table to start with for social demographic characteristics. This is for neonatal and maternal outcome. It illustrates planned comparison of key maternal and neonatal outcomes between the study groups outcome. For example, in preeclampsia or cesarean section, you want to really compare the two groups, the outcome in the two groups. This dummy table also compare treatment group and control group, and is subjecting it to standard deviation and statistical analysis here at the end. So there is no stereotype table. I'm just using these tables as an example, just to illustrate to you that depending on your research objectives, you need to indicate dummy tables on how to address your research questions, This particular table is just telling you, for example, frequency of morbidities among participants with uterine fibroids, and that tells you just frequency tables and the percentage table out there, just a dummy table. This particular table is on multivariate logistic regression, and this particular one is adjusted old ratio, 95% confidence interval, and then the p-value. So this particular one, you will have your independent predictors of adverse maternal and neonatal outcomes while controlling for co-founders. This approach aligns standard analytical practice in obstetric epidemiology. This is just an example. Then when we now come to charts and figures, you know, we have bar charts.
You have
Bar
5
charts are
minutes
for
remaining, sir.
comparison. I'm wrapping up. Bar charts are for comparison. Pie charts are for proportion. And of course, you cannot exactly put any of these graphs in a proposal, because for you to construct this graph, you must have your data. But just to use this as an example, you know, this is an example of a bar chart comparing the prevalence of preeclampsia in the study group. And then, of course, this is an example of a line graph. Just to give examples here, example of a bar chart causes, really telling us the distribution of causes of infertility. You know, you can't have this in your proposal because you need figures to actually put this, but I'm just giving you an example. So what is then the guideline for these presentations according to the college? You will notice that most of the tables that I address up here, you will notice that they are in what? Roman figure. You understand? So the guideline of the college is that each table or figure must have a number and a title, and then the numbers must be in Arabic numerals with the title above the table. And of course, the tables must be presented sequentially in order. And then in most of the RCT studies, able to present, you want to really see the table on randomization and balancing. So that is the guide, the college guide on how actually to present this table. What are the common mistakes the candidates make? You know, the candidates sometimes are completely unclear about analysis method, or they are confused about the charts they are about to use, or they use unnecessary charts. Candidates also has demonstrated sometimes vague description of plant analysis, or sometimes they use inappropriate or misleading charts. Sometimes there is no alignment of the plant analysis with the research objectives, and some of them just use unnecessarily tables, and sometimes they just duplicate these tables. You know, you want to use chart, you want to use table to answer the same question, you know. So these are some of the common mistakes and they make. So in conclusion, planned handling of results strengthens proposal credibility. Once we see that, we know that yes, this person is serious and he knows it. Of course, clear planning also ensures coherence between data and objectives, and well-designed charts enhance feature interpretation, and planning strengthens methodological credibility. And above all, examiners value transparency and analytical foresight. Thank you. I hope I am within my 15 minutes. I was trying to rush it through. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Professor Panti. Let's give him a round of applause, please. In Professor Panti's words, plan handling of results and charts is about how the data will be analyzed and used to answer the research questions. It's about transparency. It's about planning well. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for your time, and thank you for the presentation. The media team is, are you ready with Professor Ezeshi's presentation? We still need some more time. Right.
Yes, yeah, we can.
Yeah, please go ahead. Let's play it.
We can't hear him, OEJ.
You are not hearing him?
Yes, we're not.
Sir.
Okay, let me
There's
try
no
again.
voice here. Yes, sir.
I think it has to do with share the audio.
That one, let me try again.
clear and credible statistics.
Can you hear
In
him
this
now?
talk, we will first discuss why statistics.
Yes, sir. Very well, sir. Thank you.
Then move to specific sections. Line in the slides, study design to study the types of statistics, to handling missing data, normality determination, and finally, reporting considerations. All these elements should be included in a strong proposal. Why statistics matter in a proposal? A well-articulated statistical plan convinces an examiner and assessor that your project is doable, credible, and ethically sound. A strong statistical plan reduces the revision cycle. Study design a proposal. The design chosen by a resident largely determines what analysis that can credibly be performed and how to justify sample size and power. There are two broad categories of study design: observational and interventional study designs. Example of interventional studies are RCTs, randomized control trial, and non-randomized control trial. While for observational, group cohorts, case control, cross-check. Because of time, we will not be able to go into detail. So your design will help you to determine the sample size calculation, your analysis parts, and your bias considerations. Looking at descriptive statistics, what to report in a proposal. Descriptive statistics are groundwork. They describe who should be in the study or not, and set expectations for data distribution and subsequent analysis. It sets expectations and help assessors gauge for feasibility of the study. Inferential statistics. In inferential statistics, which is the minimum required by the college, you first start from descriptive studies to set the groundwork and then move over to the inferential statistics. The plan should spell out exactly how the hypothesis will be tested, null versus alternative. This is the minimum, this is the least that is expected. What will be measured and how the result will be interpreted in clinically meaningful way. Remember to propose specific models that will align with your design and outcome of your study. You should be able to also distinguish between statistical versus clinical significance. Normality and data distribution. The National College expects at the minimum that you should also test for normality of your data, because that would determine the type of statistic you will use in your analysis. So you must plan for data distribution checks at the proposal stage so that the choice of analysis method can be justified later. You test for normality either using visual checks or formality tests. The implications is that if your data is normally distributed, you use parametric tests. If your data is non-normally distributed, you use a non-parametric test, or you transform your data to a normally distributed before the analysis. That's an advanced level of statistics. The college may not require that. Just go straight to use either parametric tests or non-parametric tests. Looking at sample size and power. A transparent sample size plan in your proposal demonstrates feasibility and helps examiners judge the study potential impacts. You must choose appropriate sample size estimation software or a formula that is suitable for your study design and input the right data. You must also include a justification for your choosing effect size in your proposal. In the slide there shows the inputs you have to incorporate in your analysis. Because of want of time, we will not go in detail. How you handle missing data. Examiners will want to see that the resident have thought through how will you prevent or manage missing data from the beginning, and that you also have a plan to address it transparently. So residents should know how you are going to prevent and manage missing data. Remember that transparency reduces reviewers' concern about whether you are biased or not. There's nothing wrong in missing data when you are collecting data, but how you handle it is what is important. Remember to tie each plan analysis to a corresponding outcomes and study design. Tie a choice of study design to your primary outcome. Analysis plan. Your proposal must have analysis plan. A precise analysis plan reduces post hoc changes and strengthens credibility, and it should contain your primary outcome analysis method, coverage for adjustments, how you are handling missing data. You must specify your subgroup analysis and the software you are going to use. Reporting the proposal. Clear reporting helps assessors assess validity, relevance, and reproducibility. And what do you report? You should state clearly effect size with 95% confidence interval, p-values for primary hypothesis, clinically meaningful interpretations, and how you are going to adhere to relevant guidelines, consults, or strokes, and ethical issues, and reporting how you handle them. This is a practical checklist residents can use when drafting a proposal. So clearly, there are 9 of them, and you should use them to check in your proposal that they are all covered. Thank you for your attention. If residents begin with these elements in their proposal, they will be well positioned to write an acceptable proposal. These are some take-home messages that you need to revise and ensure you include in your proposal. Thank you, and God bless you.
Thank you so much, Prof, for taking us through this topic. Professor Ezichi is actually on vacation. That's why he sent in the recorded version of his presentation. However, he will be available to take questions. Thank you, all participants. All 4 presentations been done and dusted. I think it's now time for us to take questions. Let's look through the chat. There are very few
Moderator, are there questions in the chat box?
No,
Sir,
that was muted. Sorry,
I can't see any question in the chat box.
Yes,
There are
I
about two
can see it.
questions.
I'll read
There
it
are
for
two
you.
questions.
I'll read the
There-
questions. Sorry, I didn't know I was muted actually.
Okay.
So the
Yeah.
first one says, "Good evening, sir. I'm still not clear with the college guidelines, sir. My assessor wants my chapter 3 to be aims and objectives. Going by this guideline, that means the title page is chapter 1, introduction is chapter 2, and aims and objectives is chapter 3. Literature review is chapter 4. Where will the executive summary be? Thank you, SARS and MAS, for putting us through." Chairman or Secretary, sir, you respond to him, please? And there's actually a follow-up question down there. One of the residents was asking how could they access the dissertation guideline? I think you can take the two questions together, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
I thought I posted the guideline yesterday. Had the candidates gone through the guideline we posted yesterday? Because that's what the college wants.
Yes.
The way it's on that guideline is the way you take it.
Yes, sir.
So even if the assessor says, I want it this way, you can respectfully say, this is the guideline from the college, and that's for you, as long as you are sure you're actually following it. So I think just go back to yesterday. It wasn't posted, it was also posted in some of the platforms. So the guidelines are there. I can still repost them later.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That will be highly appreciated, sir. Kindly repost the guidelines, sir. Thank you. The next is, let's see, what's the next one? This one is appreciation. This other one says, okay, thank you.
Can I take two questions related to my presentation?
Yes, if you can see them.
Okay, there's a question on whether you need ethical approval for retrospective study, and I posted
Yes.
the response.
Yeah, you did.
I've said yes.
Yes, you did.
It is now left for the board to decide. Whenever you submit anything to the board, they have three options. Either you go for the full board review, or expedited, or exempt. So it's the IRB that we talk about that one. There was also another question of whether you need to get ethical approval before you submit your proposal to the college. Yes. In fact, it's one of the
requirements
things that you must get before you submit your proposal to the college.
Yes.
So thank you.
That's right. Thank you so much, Dr. Ogumbode, for those response. And the other one. Okay, there is also a question from NSOG. He said, has the guideline for objectives changed? That's Prof. Oji, isn't it? I suppose it's Professor Oji. Professor Oji asked whether the guidelines for the objectives in the college has changed.
The guidelines have not changed.
So the guidelines remain the same, and it has just been pasted on the chat box. So participants can download it and go through the guidelines later. Seems like we're done with the questions. There are no questions for now. All right. Chairman, sir, there are no questions for now. And,
all right. Thank you very much. Let me.
Your final words, sir.
Yes. On behalf of the faculty, let me thank all our senior colleagues, presenters, and Mr. Moderator, Professor Bagana Bako, for a wonderful job. The faculty has gone to great extent and great trouble to ensure that we keep this webinar series alive to educate our residents and also to remind our trainers all across both colleges. We'll be starting a new set of series of webinars very soon. And I just want to thank everybody for participating, for keeping to time. And I wish us all the best and a wonderful new year. I think Mr. Secretary has the final words before we shut down. So see all of you next year by God's grace. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you,
Continue,
Mr.
sir. Yes. Go ahead, sir.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman, for your wonderful work and making this thing possible for all of us. Let me also thank in a special way the moderator, Professor Babagana Bako, DVC, University of Maiduguri, to take out time from your tight schedule to do this for us. Thank you. I must also appreciate the presence of some of our very, very big chiefs, starting from the Sogom president himself, Professor O.C. Kweze. Sir, thank you for being with us.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. You are one of the early callers. Thank you so much. Also, my teacher, Professor Asien, have been here, as well as Professor Migbodu, who really appreciate your presence, as well as Professor Desinyu, my assistant, Professor Swende, Professor Kasu, Professor Ogunze, Professor Ikako Amaku Ogwejofwe Nabudoso, Alu, Professor Leje, my brother, Professor Digwe, Professor Sai Maralu, Okwade, Professor Aja, Professor Kikelomo, Professor Madugu, our Honorable Treasurer, Professor G, Professor Teke, my CMD Anzaku, DVC Uniport is here, Professor Ogu, and Professor Sanusi and Zachary. Thank you so much. I also appreciate the presence of some of our board members, including Dr. Paul, who is the permanent secretary. That's Dr. Kubo, Dr. Sheil Mohammed, Dr. Nzeribe Korode, Irinya Nicole, Dr. Mononihu. Thank you for coming. There are also some very senior examiners here that I must recognize. Dr. Dulo Siloro, Dr. Nzeribe Noyenyinda, Dr. Oyeyemi, Dr. Sefia, and Stella Filani, and other consultants who joined us. It's been a wonderful year. We had so many webinars this year. We'll have to start next year. By end of January, beginning of January, we'll be mounting the primary update courses. The flyers are out. Encourage potential residents to key in and subscribe to these update courses because it helps a lot in preparing them for the exam and for the residency training actually in general. And that'll be end of January, beginning of February next year. Then the subspecialty teams will be also manning their, we also starting their webinars to really tell us about their different subspecialties, and that will happen in the first quarter of next year. So it's going to be a loaded program. I will continue with this educational webinar from time to time on different aspects of our program in the college. So once more, thank you, thank everybody for the year going. We thank God for keeping us alive and pray that He brings us safely until 2026. Thank you, everybody, and have a wonderful night. Bye.
All right, thank you once again. And do have a wonderful night rest all.
Thank you.